Well, you guys are live right now on the Zach Moonshine Show. We just got done blasting Dead Medicine. So fucking badass. I love that track. Tell us,
thanks.
give us a little brief history on the band, man. Tell us how long you guys been doing this, and how'd you get started, man?
Well, I guess I'll start this. Kyle's not here right now. He's one of our guitar players. He may show up here in a bit. Me and him and Nico all kind of got bored around COVID, when COVID started. We'd all had different bands and stuff going at the time, but weren't doing a whole lot. We wanted to start something different together, and that's just a short version of the story. Pretty much.
Yeah, I'll concur with that. And we kind of all got together, and Kyle and Garrett were messing around with the instrumental for what eventually became Turning Tide. I put together some vocal arrangement for it, and we just went ahead and recorded a demo, and it sounded like we had something there. So we kind of just went ahead with just that one song, made a video for it and all of that. And then decided that we wanted to see where it would go. So the guys started reaching out to some other folks to kind of round out the lineup. And that's where
we had a little bit of a different lineup at the beginning, and then we kind of got the right people together now, and everything's been working out perfectly since then.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So how did you guys come up with the name Medicine Horse?
I'll let Nico take this one.
Yeah, I can talk about that a little bit. The name Medicine Horse is actually Kyle's great-great-great-grandfather's name. His name is Changé Moncombe, which translates from Ponca into medicine horse. And he was a great leader and a family elder and honored ancestor. And so he wanted to, it's a family name also that's been passed down. So we have nephew named Changé Moncombe. And so we wanted to kind of honor that by using it for the band name. And I think it's an idea that Kyle had in his head for a long time and was kind of just waiting for everything to align right, like for the right group of people, the right timing, the right project to come along that would be worthy of that name. And that's what this is.
Man, I absolutely love how you guys bring in all the Native American influences and stuff into this too. Like, I gotta say, like, right off the bat, that was what drew me in. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I was just like, fuck, because it's, I don't know, like, there's not that much of it out there, like, there's not too many bands out there doing that, but it also sounded really good.
Yeah, man, thank you. There's a whole lot of Native musicians out there, man. A lot of times you wouldn't know, but we definitely try to put that in our whole thing a little bit. Kyle and Nico both are Native. I grew up out in Stillwell, Oklahoma, kind of a real thick Cherokee place in Oklahoma. So we all kind of grew up with the same kind of ideals and stuff. It works perfectly. And we're all into the same heavy music and crazy stuff, so
yeah,
that helps.
Fuck yeah, man. And another thing, like, you're singing in both languages too, which is really cool. Can you what was your decision behind that? Like, was that difficult to do, or?
Well, yes. First of all, it was incredibly difficult to do, and it continues to be difficult to do every time I sing that song. It still doesn't come, second nature to me. But that song came about through a compilation project that we contributed to, actually. We, sort of partway into putting songs together for our first full-length album release, we were contacted by a guy named Jeremy Charles, who's a Cherokee filmmaker. And he had this idea that he wanted to put together a compilation record of all contemporary Cherokee artists. There's lots and lots of music in the Cherokee language, but it's mostly like hymns or, church songs or covers of, pop songs from the 70s or something, So there wasn't really a lot of contemporary music being written and recorded in the language. And it's really important when you're trying to preserve a language to make sure that there are, kind of contemporary pieces of art in that language, because that's what carries it into the future. And it's a great teaching tool, when you're learning the language, to have music that you can listen to. And, not everybody wants to just sit around listening to hymns every day, as beautiful as those are. The idea was, like, we want pop music, we want punk music, we want country and folk and hip hop and R&B. And so that's what they put together, this incredibly diverse compilation record that has contemporary Cherokee artists from all different genres. And so we were approached to kind of represent the heaviest end of things, which was really cool. So, we wrote that song specifically for the compilation, and I had a piece of lyric that hadn't really fit into any of our songs yet. It kind of just hadn't fallen into place, and I didn't know if it would ever be a song. I thought maybe it was just a story I had needed to get out in some sort of poetry, expression. And then this project came along, and it was like, oh, that's what that's for. This is perfect for this Cherokee song. And so I worked with a translator who was a second language Cherokee learner. So, first language being English, and then was learning Cherokee as his second language. And then also another first language speaker, someone who had grown up speaking Cherokee. And so we all collaborated and translated the song. And then I had to, work on putting that melody together and making it work into this piece of music that absolutely turned out to be one of our most special songs. And so I get better and better at it every time, but it's still something that it's very emotional to sing because there's so much meaning and such a process that went behind it. And also it's really challenging because Cherokee is a very challenging language to learn. So, you're singing like not knowing as much like exactly the words that you're saying and how you're putting them together. And so memorizing that is a lot harder. But I still really love that song every single time we do it.
Well, you
absolutely agreed.
Yeah, you guys absolutely nailed it, and it sounds fucking amazing. You're talking about the last song on the record, right?
Yes. And it honestly, like, when that song came together for the compilation, it ended up being like so much more powerful and just amazing than we ever even imagined it would be. I feel like we surprised ourselves on that one.
Yeah.
And so we were like, this has got to go on the record. There wasn't originally a plan for that to be on our own record. We thought it would be just a one-off thing for that compilation album, but we just ended up loving that song so much that it
flows so good with the album too. It just goes so good. I mean, that's the best way to close that. By the way, real quick, Chris, is that a picture of you in the background there on your thing? Are you there? Can you hear us?
Derek Smalls.
Oh my gosh.
That's great. I've been trying not to laugh at that for a long time.
Oh, that's great.
Sorry.
Well, yeah, that song is actually one of the songs that I have in the playlist to come up after the interview. I don't know. I wanted to say the name of it, but I didn't want to fucking butcher it. How exactly do you pronounce that?
It's a tricky one. It's called Pua Deshka. So there's kind of a in the middle of there. It's an interesting pronunciation that there's not a language in the English language that corresponds to that. Yeah. So Pua Deshka. You can also call it the orchard. That's what it translates to in English.
Deshka.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, man. I'm so terrible at that shit. Like so many bands that we play on here.
I get it, man.
From all over the world, you
Totally
know, and they just, it's always, everybody's always laughing at me because I'm always messing it up, but that's
man,
that's really cool.
Dude, I'm bad with it too.
So tell us, like, going back to you guys' you know, in your history, like as far as your influences and stuff, like what were some of the bands that you guys all listened to when you were kids? You know, what got you into playing music, and then what's influencing you now in modern times as well?
Man, I don't even know where to start on that one. I'll go ahead and kick it off. I guess for me, I grew up with a lot of heavy stuff. Of course, back in the day, Metallica, Sepultura, all that kind of stuff. Branched out a lot, kind of through high school, all kinds of different music. Man, I listened to just anything from weird soul, like tribal dance music, death metal, blues. I mean, just a little bit of everything. I think being from Louisiana is a big part of that too. I have a melting pot of cultures and music down there, you know. Grew up with a lot of that. Yeah,
on that note, kick it to Chris, because we haven't heard much from him.
Yeah, Chris, what you got?
And Chris has like a lot of influences that I think reflect a lot of our
the Louisiana boy too.
Yeah, which is why he like melds just so well with our little crew here.
Right on. So music wise, I'm from New Orleans originally, so grew up in the New Orleans sludge scene with bands like Acid Bath and Crowbar and I Hate God, and then even kind of before that you have bands like Exhorder, which are out of that area, which is kind of the thrash scene, and then another band was Floodgate, which was a singer from Exhorder, Kyle. That's another band that I dig a lot. And they kind of have like an Alice in Chains feel. Grew up to that, and then before that, I kind of came into own with my music with the Seattle scene. Really, anything out of there is what kind of cut my teeth on. And then from there, went to realize what was around me and really dug that locally in New Orleans sound. So,
hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. You know, it's funny when you mention that, you know, I often think to myself when I think of like sludge and doom metal, especially like the stuff from the South, it does kind of remind me of some of the grunge shit that was coming out of Seattle during the 90s, you know, like there's definitely I think there's a link there, you know, like I don't think a lot of people talk about that, but like
absolutely. I think it's the Melvins, man, is kind of
Melvins, man.
That
Melvins. Yeah. Says it all. I get excited talking about the Melvins.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And I guess like my contribution would be a lot of influences, like not from the heavy music side of things, because my in my youth growing up, I was listening to a lot of just like alternative radio. You know, I'm the oldest kid, so I didn't have like the cool older brother or sister, you know, passing me along stuff. So I was the one discovering things on the radio. And then into, you know, once I got into school, high school, and was able to kind of branch out and find some other influences and stuff. But I guess like musically, my first foray into, singing of any kind was like show choir kind of thing. So it was like musicals. And then when I discovered what I really loved singing and what my voice kind of fit with, that was more along the lines of like jazz. So I really loved singing jazz standards and stuff like that. And I think that's where I guess more of my clean singing style would have come from. And also, listening to a lot of, kind of indie rock stuff, anything that had a little bit of a jazz bent to it that I could sing along to, that was always my favorite. But then as I, got older and, started to discover more heavy music, I was really more into like the punk rock side of things, and then also elements of like post-punk. So a lot of that, like, I still think of as like heavier, I don't know, thematically, you know, it's not like not heavy in the same way as you know, the stuff coming out of the South was, but like things like The Cure and Joy Division and you know, City and the Banshees and all of those you know, I guess kind of gothy influenced music was always my favorite.
Hell yeah. You know, for me, I remember in the early 80s when I was really little, my mom would be blasting stuff like Michael Jackson and Madonna and shit like that. And like that was really like my first introduction to music. But then MTV, of course, came around. They were fucking Bon Jovi was all over the place. I loved that. And then I had an older cousin. I went over to his house one time, and I think he was kind of annoyed by the fact that I loved that so much. And he was like, "Oh, dude, you got to check this out." So he brings me over to the record player, and he puts headphones on my head. He puts Iron Maiden Number of the Beast on side 2, where it starts off with the title track. And I was just sitting there listening to it, looking at the album cover, just freaking the fuck out. And that was it. That was it right there. Like, it was over then, man.
Instantly converted.
Yeah. After that, of course, I remember when Metallica came out too, though. Like, that's funny that you guys mentioned that as well. I think almost every band that I've interviewed on the show, and I've interviewed hundreds, somebody always mentions Metallica, you know, and like,
man, I know I can speak for me and Kyle on that one, man. We both grew up huge fucking Metallica fans. That's most of the first riffs that I learned on guitar and taught myself when I was a kid. Drums, I mean, everything. Like a lot of it came from those first 4 or 5 albums.
And then, of course, that transitions over into the heavier stuff, like you said, Sepultura, you know, and all those other bands came along. And
Igor Cavalera, man, that's one of my favorite drummers of all time.
Yes, dude,
We just got to play with Max and his son, too, Go Ahead and Die over in Oklahoma City. Oh, you were there. Yeah. You were there. You already said that. Sorry. That was just so cool, man. It's real.
Yeah, Max Cavalera and his brother, Igor. Yeah, he to me, in my opinion, that's one of the most underrated fucking drummers that there is in metal, dude. Like
straight up, man.
He does not get enough respect, man. Like,
I agree, man. That groove is just,
God, man,
everything.
I mean, still to this day, you go back and listen to like Arise, Beneath the Remains, and then fucking Chaos AD, man. That shit on Territory where he's fucking doing with the steel drum and shit. Fuck.
Yeah.
It's so badass, man.
It's so good, man. There's nothing else like it.
Hell yeah. Now, I was lucky enough to see them back when they were touring for Roots, I believe it was, man.
Oh, my God. That would have been cool, man.
I
never got to see that, but we also got to play with them in Tulsa when they played at Vanguard, and it was Max and Igor and a couple of other guys, and they played Arise and Beneath the Remains all the way through. We got to open that show. Absolutely phenomenal, man. Arise is one of my favorite albums growing up. Some of the first riffs that I wrote totally ripped that off, like riffs off of that album.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool to do that.
I've had Max on the show before too, and he's a funny dude, man.
He is, man. That's awesome that you had him on here. That's cool.
Yeah, hell yeah. Well, I used to live in Phoenix, Arizona too, which is where he lives. And
that's right.
I used to bump into him all the fucking time, but I never had the guts to say anything to him. I remember seeing him at Blockbuster Video. He was renting some video games or something. I'm like looking over. I'm like, that's fucking Max. But I didn't.
Yeah, I think I'd be the same way, man. Like,
I didn't want to.
What can you even say? Like,
yeah. I've always been that way, kind of. You know, like I don't know, like.
Same.
I'm afraid that if you approach sometimes your heroes, you never know what you're gonna, never.
Oh, you'll be disappointed 9 times out of 10, man. It's best to just keep the good memories, just like not even worry about trying to meet them or hang out with them or.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I'll tell you what, man. Last night, Explosions in the Sky were really nice to us. I have to give those guys a shout out. They were super nice for a band of their caliber.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, they were so welcoming and like just man, it like almost felt like they were putting on the show for us, you know, like just being so like, you know, welcoming and like just complimentary of everything that we'd done and like thanking us for being on the show. And we were like, are you kidding? This is like, thank you.
Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah, they were great.
Hell yeah.
That's funny. I actually I went to middle school and high school in Phoenix. So I was there from like 1998 till 2003. I lived in Phoenix. Kind of all around Tempe, Scottsdale, Phoenix.
Yeah, it was around the times that I was living. What school were you going to?
I went to Chaparral.
Okay, I went to Barry Goldwater.
Okay.
All right. Hell yeah. One of the last I think it was 98 I think it was 98, 99 when it was the New Year's Evil show. That's one of my favorite concerts ever. Black Sabbath headlined with Megadeth, Soulfly, Slayer, and Pantera. And they fucking ripped.
Oh my gosh!
They ripped the fucking roof off that place, man. It was insane because
dude, that sounds phenomenal.
Like all those
That's an insane lineup.
All those bands were trying to outdo each other because, you know, Black Sabbath is there, you know, so like you can tell. You know,
oh yeah, man. That had to have been intense.
Everybody trying to impress Dad.
yeah, for sure.
Dad.
I remember the crowd was so packed in that place. Like I was literally not even, my feet weren't even touching the ground half the time. It was just like levitating, you know, pressed in between bodies, just trying to headbang and raise a fist out.
Oh man, yeah.
In the middle of... Good times, man. Good times. So tell us what kind of stuff do you guys have planned for the future? Like, what do you guys have coming up? You have any more shows or anything?
We have quite a few shows. I guess first, like for the future, you know, before we even had all of this first record printed, we had a whole handful more songs that we've been working on. So we're definitely ready already to get back in the studio again and try and put another record together. We're still kind of writing still kind of writing on that. I definitely need to hold up my end and put lyrics to a lot of the stuff that the guys have come up with, because they've got a bunch of really killer songs, and I still just need to finish those out with my contribution. But yeah, that's the next big thing, you know, over this summer is to work on getting all of those songs put together. But we do have quite a few really cool shows coming up. I know the next spot we're going to be is Bottleneck in Lawrence, Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
Where else? We're going to Van Buren.
Van Buren, March 2nd. Yeah, with Vor. Oh, one of my favorite death metal bands since I was 13 or 14 years old. Really excited to play with those guys.
Yeah, that's going to be a trip. And then what's the Mutants Fest.
Mutants Fest in Little Rock. Oh my God. We got John Garcia from Caius. We've got Weed Eater. We got Spirit Adrift. We got Mothership. There's so many good. Adam Fawcett. There's so many good artists. Oh my God. That one's going to be crazy. That's Little Rock. I think of the date right offhand.
Well, I know you guys submitted for Tennessee Metal Devastation Music Fest, and I tell you right now, you got 2 votes for me, man. I'm fucking pushing for you.
Nice. I sure hope we get it, man. We're ready to come over there.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Would love to see you guys live. I also wanted to ask you about the album artwork too. Like, that's a really cool album cover, and it looks airbrushed. Is that, who did that, and how did you guys get that done? Is there a story behind it?
I'll kind of tell this. It's he's a mutual friend of the whole band. He's been a friend of mine since I first moved to Oklahoma. He's another Louisiana boy. He's from Natchitoches, which is like central Louisiana. So him and I bonded when I moved to Oklahoma just because of the Louisiana connection. But he's a tattoo artist here in town. His name's Jacob Rochelle. You can follow him on Instagram at JR Tattoos, and you can see all of his work there. But he's just been an awesome like supporter of Medicine Horse, and it just made sense for him to for him to do the artwork for the album. And Kyle kind of had a meeting with him and talked to him about what he wanted. He had this wild idea in his head, and the cool thing about Jacob is he gets wild ideas every day being a tattoo artist. So he's able to piece Kyle's image together and make a really cohesive piece of art that looks amazing. So
Agreed.
Hell yeah.
Totally agreed.
Yeah, Jacob's badass.
Yeah, when I first
He's going to tattoo the entire band.
He's already tattooed half of us.
Yeah, no, more. I mean, me, Kyle, Chris, and Garrett.
Yeah.
So we just need Travis to join us.
Yeah.
Join our cult.
Fuck yeah, man. Yeah, when I first saw that cover, I was thinking it made me think of that song Ghost Riders. I don't know why.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally have the Ghost Riders vibe.
I was like, hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Fuck yeah, man. Well,
Yeah, that turned out better than I think any of us could have imagined. Kyle had such a specific vision in his mind, and Jacob was really able to pull that out and put it to, make that vision come alive. And it just perfectly captures everything about this record. So it's just perfect.
Now, I got to ask you guys, for the gearheads out there that are wondering, man, what kind of stuff did you guys use in the studio to get these sounds, like amps and pedals and shit like that, man? Can you tell us?
I used a piece of shit broken down drum set, a pawn shop special. I didn't use anything fancy, man. They brought in a nice snare for me. I couldn't tell you what it was. I don't know, man. I'm a firm believer in just using whatever I got.
Hell yeah.
Nothing special.
I think the guitars, the two, they use just PV cabs and PV heads, man. And the thing that's really kind of different about us and our sound, we're kind of locked into that PV tone. We need a sponsor from them just because of all the PV shit we use.
Yes.
But
amps.
Chris just throwing that out there.
Yeah. So
hashtag PV.
Our distortion and fuzz, believe it or not, man, the guitarists don't go through any pedals. It's right into the amp, and they use the overdrive on their heads and just use a foot switch to toggle it off and on. And that's it. So the gear's really simple. If you can pull out a sound of any kind of, if you know what you're doing and know what you're looking for, it's just about dialing in your tone. And Travis, who's not here on this meeting, he's the one that kind of keeps everybody locked in on that as for those guitar and bass sounds. And if we're trying to achieve a sound, Travis will help us work on that as well. Me being a bassist, I use a compressor pedal is the only thing I do, and I run through an Ampeg cabinet. So, and that's all the only thing I do. I'm a big fan of compression for bass just because it cleans it up and makes it so sharp and punchy.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah, man. That's cool, man. You know what? That's a testament right there to PV amps. I mean, no fuzz pedals or anything, just straight into the fucking amp, PV is definitely that's one of the. I mean, one of my amps that I play the most is a PV, and it's old as fuck, and it still works. I love it.
Those PVs,
that's what's
man.
Good about them, man. They last forever.
Yeah, and the guys' heads are tubes. It's a tube PV head, so it's not a solid state amp. They are using tubes, and that's a big part of the tone that we're able to achieve is because of that. Those tubes are just phenomenal in those PVs, man.
Fuck yeah, man. Hell yeah. Well, guys, I'm about out of questions for you. Is there anything else you want to let the people know?
man, just thank you guys for listening, for paying attention, coming up, and thank you for having us on here, man. This is cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
You guys
absolutely.
dig
And
everything.
if you like what you hear, go, follow the social media and come out to one of our shows. Hopefully we'll be coming somewhere near you, and come check us out.
Where's the best place for folks to go to purchase merch and stuff like that?
Bandcamp. We're about to do a big merch dump onto Bandcamp. We just came back from a little tour. We had a big show last night, so we were saving all this to see kind of inventory what we had left over, but that is going to happen next week. So if you follow us on Bandcamp, message once we get all that merch out, and it'll be a big drop. We'll have a lot of stuff on there.
Man, Bandcamp.
Check out Horton Records too, hortonrecords.com. There's a lot of good local artists on there as well.
Fuck
And
yeah.
that's where we're.
Hell yeah. Yeah, Bandcamp is such a fucking awesome platform for independent bands to use, man. I'm always trying to tell people about it, man. When, like, anytime I talk to a band that doesn't have one or doesn't know what it is, I'm like, dude, get on fucking Bandcamp, God damn it.
I scroll Bandcamp. I get caught up in it and discover.
Yeah, Chris takes care of all that for us.
So you find some amazing shit on Bandcamp.
Yeah, you do. All right, guys. Well, before I let you go, can I get you to make us a station tag real quick?
Yeah.
All right, whenever you're ready, say something like, "This is Medicine Horse, and you're listening to Metal Devastation Radio."
That's on you, Nico.
Are we gonna? Yeah, I was gonna say, are we gonna try and do this in unison? Oh my gosh!
Hell no.
Let's
You're
not.
gonna do this.
I'll take that. You said this is Medicine Horse, and you're listening to Metal Devastation Radio.
Yes.
Did I do it, or do I need to do it again?
No. Yeah, I guess that works, man. Fuck yeah.
Do we need a second take?
Sure, go ahead. Say it however you want to.
Okay. This is Medicine Horse, and you're listening to Metal Devastation Radio.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much, you guys, for taking the time to talk to us. We really appreciate it. And what we're going to do now is we're going to blast some more Medicine Horse for these motherfuckers so they can go crazy, all right?
Dude, thank you so much, man.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right. We'll talk to you later, man.
Peace.
All right, man. Have a good night.
Cheers. There you have it, folks. Medicine Horse live on the Zach Moonshine Show with Metal Devastation motherfucking Radio. Like I said earlier, put your speakers in your windows, put them in your front lawns, put them in your neighbor's driveway. Do whatever the fuck you gotta do. Make your neighbors fucking hate you, man. If you don't see U-Haul trucks everywhere tomorrow, what the fuck are you doing, man? Crank it the fuck up loud.